Welcome back, guys, to your favorite natural bodybuilding podcast with your boys, Swole Steve and Magic Mike. And if we're not your favorite podcast, stop lying to yourself. Or if you're not lying to yourself, well, let us know how we can be better. But even more reason to be grateful is because Steve had a bit of a calamity the other day. And if you haven't seen it on it would have been a while ago. But Steve, what was the calamity that happened yesterday?
Oh, dude. I don't know if this is just me. I don't imagine it happens on your desk setup, but obviously I hydrate. It's important. So I have these bottles of water on my desk and I'm constantly drinking. They're constantly full. And I have a few times knocked them and they end up just like spilling and they go to like the back of my desk. And thankfully, every time it's just been, they've hit the wall or there hasn't been that much water. I catch it quite early. But as I was like in a bit of a hurry to see Greg Potter, those who listen to the Revive Stronger podcast know my man, Greg Potter. He's got a PhD in sleep. He is the man. And he was in London for a short period of time because he is all over the shop across the world. And he does a lot of diving, actually. He loves it. He travels a lot. So I wanted to go and see him because he had some time available and we're meeting at Tower Bridge. And I was in the process of like getting all my stuff together. Like I have my new laptop. Actually, I have it right here. I don't need to show you. It's right there. But I think I have basically the same laptop as you now. And so I had that in my backpack, had my like oats like ready because I knew I was going to need a meal. I had Ada ready. And then I was like, right, I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was just literally trying to pick up the bottle to fill it with water. And then I knocked it all over my electronics, like all over, like I don't know what they call it, like a cable management system, like drilled underneath my desk. So I have a power socket or like, what's it called? It's like an extension, power management cable plug extension, whatever it is. People know what I mean. You know what I mean? You're nodding, so you know what it is.
Yeah.
And anyway, the water must have gone on that. And then that, I didn't realize at the time though, like I just grabbed a towel and was like mopping everything up and drying everything. I was like, it doesn't look like it really got that wet, but everything turned off on my desk and then it wouldn't turn back on. And then I tried some other like ports around the house. I was like, okay, nothing upstairs is working. So I tripped the power on the second floor of the house. The bottom floor was working because there was a moment, Mike, where I was like, oh, it's just coincidence. Like there was a power outage and like I just knocked the bottle over. So I was like, oh, come back, it'll be okay. And at this point I was like, shit, I'm going to be late because it was taking me like an hour to go see Greg. So I was like telling him and he was like, don't worry about it, whatever. So then basically what ended up happening is I put the power back on, of course, like flicked the switch and then plugged everything in and it turned on and it was fine. Seemingly, I was like, okay, thank God, because the Mac Studio I have is, actually don't know how much it's more than a laptop costs. So it's like or at least the Mac Air. So it's quite expensive. Like it's a big piece of kit. And so anyway, I was like, thank God. Everything was in a mess, mind you. And I don't know about you, Mike, but I'm like, chill. And then if something is off, I don't know that I particularly care about, I just go from like 0 to 100 of stress. So I am like chucking everything around, like just the house was a mess. Ada was like freaked. And then as I was like trying to leave, picked off always put my keys on the hook, like right by the door. So I don't put them there, I'm losing my keys. And I grabbed them like, cause I'm in this stress and I like flung them by accident. And they went behind the damn radiator and got stuck. And I was like, for God's sake, you can't make this up. So then I took like 10 minutes trying to fish out my bloody keys then. And then when I came home though, after having seen Greg, it wouldn't turn on. So my Mac was just like, I power on and it would just flicker. And I was like, oh God, have I actually just like killed it? And I'm like asking ChatGPT all these questions of like, how can I manage this? So anyway, what I think I've realized is it's got a very protective mechanism in there, whatever, because it's expensive. And if anything, the spark must have just caused it to like go into protection mode. So if I plug it into like a main socket, it works. But these extensions, which are old, by the way. It was like, nah, I'm not using that like janky extension there. So I've ordered a new, like, I think it's called like surge protected. I think this one's meant to be surge protected, but it's, I don't know, a decade old or something. So I've ordered a new extension to put everything into. So at the moment, my like MacBook Studio, or whatever it's called, the Mac Studio is like down here on my right, and like cables are everywhere trying to pull it together. But in the short term, I also, because I'd met Greg, I had a bunch of work to come home to. I was like, God. And so I then I was like, oh, thank God I got my like, laptop. But then it was like, okay, I need to set up OBS. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was like overheating, because OBS is super draining if you don't have it on certain settings. And I just set everything up as if it was my studio. But the studio is way more powerful than a MacBook Air in terms of like, I don't know all the lingo of like the RAM and all of that, but it just doesn't have the same sort of power and capabilities. Anyway, as you can imagine, I was a hot mess and not feeling great about it. But thankfully, it's working. Everything seems fine, I think. And I just need to, I've already ordered a new cable extension thing and just set it all up. But that was a long story of my story of, I was like, there's got to be some entrepreneurial person listening that can invent some sort of water receptacle that if you knock it over, it doesn't spill. But I think it probably would have been invented by now.
Probably. It made me think, I'm sure as well technology has improved in terms of its resilience, because I remember even like when I was young, when we like had the first kind of like mobile phones, like Nokia 3310 or whatever, and I remember people used to say like, oh, don't drop it on the floor because it's gonna break or whatever. But now it's like you drop a phone or you drop it in the toilet, and a lot of the times it's all right.
Mike, I can't believe you just said that, because I just did a walk, and on my walk I dropped my damn phone and I cracked the screen.
Oh, no.
Or at least the screen protector, I'm hoping, because I've actually been I'm on like I don't know if you're like this, most people probably on like a 2-year contract with their phone, or do you? So mine's coming to an end, and I was like, I like bought a new like protection, like a new case, and I put on a new screen protector because the old one was cracked. And I was like, oh, it's like a new phone, like I don't need a new phone, I'm just going to get like a monthly recurring. And then I've cracked it, but hopefully just the screen protector. I just need to buy a new screen protector. But
oh no,
after saying they're resilient, God damn it, I chuck it around in the gym and stuff, fine, but nope, one drop on the pavement and little pebbles got to it.
Oh, it's so frustrating. And it's one of these things where you look back on it in a week or, a month, and it's funny, but in the moment it is not funny whatsoever. And you're like, fuck's sake, come on.
Because it's like the one time I didn't need it was when I was going to see Greg, because that was already a chunk of like 2 hours of travel out of my day, and then I wanted to be with him for a good period of time. I was like, I really don't need to not have time now. And then, anyway, it wasn't the end of the world. Yeah,
it will all be kind of sorted in a sense. Nothing like serious.
Yeah, nothing serious, which is good.
But also in other news, obviously you've got, and you were telling me this in our check, and you were giving me a bit of a guided tour around your thing. It's like you've got your pro card all kind of what's the word? Like up on the wall, displayed, and the Simon K. Bell poster, which you can just see in the corner.
Yeah,
there.
you can just see
awesome.
Yeah, I think if you're in this room, the pro card looks appropriately placed, but you can't see it when I'm recording, I was like, oh, should I put it somewhere where you can see it? But I'm like, basically all you can see is the Revive Stronger logo. If I put it anywhere here, it's like, well, my head just gets in the way anyway. Yeah. So I haven't framed that or anything. It's just, I can't remember what the product's called, but it's like, it's not Blue Tack, but it's similar to Blue Tack in that you can stick it on and take it off, and it's actually better than Blue Tack because it doesn't impact the wall. It's kind of like a bit like Velcro, but anyway, I can't think what the product's called. Someone probably has used something similar. They work really, really well. In fact, I was like, why didn't I use these for all the other frames? Because the other frames I've driven nails into the wall.
Yeah.
And like these walls are janky and I'm not great at putting nails in, so it's ended up cracking. But anyway, yes, the new like artwork poster over here, dude, in person, you'd love it. Like, it's just so cool. He's released a new one as well, which is like all Android, so it's like trunks and stuff like that. So I was like, I don't know if I actually have any more space in here for those.
Well, as soon as I saw it on your story, because for some reason I wasn't following him on Instagram, but as soon as I saw it on your story, I was like, right, I need to get on this because I need some of this in my room and in my house. For sure.
Yeah, I've been really lucky with the artwork that I've got, because I think you can get some really like generic posters and stuff like that, but they're a little bit more special because they're, well, not that that's like hand drawn by him, but it was originally, and then he's printed it, of course. So it's like a little bit more unique, and it's nice to kind of have that. But yeah, you do need to get on it, don't you? Have you got any more house stuff recently?
No, basically.
No.
Yeah, but I was thinking this year is going to be the year that I get curtains for the house. This is it's going to happen this year, Steve, for sure.
You got a blind in your bedroom at least, right?
Oh, not in my
there.
bedroom. I've got one blind here. That's my only blind.
Oh, you don't have it in your
house.
bedroom, which is where you think you'd need it.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter in the winter because you go to bed and it's dark, you wake up and it's dark, so it doesn't matter. But in the summer, that's where the old eye mask,
face mask, yeah.
That's it. You got to do that. But no, this year it's going to happen. I'm going to do it.
And before we forget, I'm going to talk about the fact that our coaching fees are going up. And so just need to let you guys know, because you're missing out on a deal if you're interested in coaching and you don't sign up in January or get a consultation in January. If we end up having a consultation, it's so long as you apply in January, let's say that. So if you apply in January, you'll have our current fees. Otherwise, they're going up into the rest of the year. And so if you are interested in coaching, now is the time. And also, there's no barriers to entry really, because previously we've lowered the barrier to consultation fees. They were $19.99 for the last however long, basically since we had consultation fees. We lowered those to $9.99 just to have a bit of a barrier so that people don't book in a call with us and then they don't turn up. Can't be having that. Our time is valuable, and we also think your time is valuable, so you want us to turn up, and so make sure that we're there too. And obviously we're working then, like it's a job for us, so we make sure that time is well spent. And then if you're not into a consultation, you're like, you guys creep me out, whatever. If you're listening to this, hopefully not, but if you weren't into that, we have an option for like a video overview. So we basically overview your application and then talk about how we might be able to help through coaching and what that might look like, give you the kind of fees and the setup and all of that, and then send that across to you to review. And then maybe you are wanting to sign up off the back of that. So that's also free. So if you are just like, hey, there's nothing to lose, you can just apply and we'll get you a video across, and then you can come back to us. Do come back to us though, because I have had a couple where people have not come back to me and it's putting me off having that option available, because it is still time and effort that we're putting into these videos. But the consultation is really, I think, best, but we just have the other option there just in case. Anything you wanted to add, Mike?
No, just again, we don't bite. And now is if you are on the fence, now is the best possible chance, because when you're listening to this, it's going to be the last week of January. So you'll literally have a few days. So just do it. Just do it.
Linked in the description.
Link in the description. Nike. Think Nike. Just do it.
And also, then it's also what's the worst that can happen from Dr. Pepper, especially if you don't do the consultation option. The worst that can happen is that you get a 5-10 minute video from one of the coaches. And what was I going to say? Yes, and you also get grandfathered in you get locked into that price. So yeah, it's like for all intents and purposes, go for it anyway.
And it's also
any other updates.
Sorry, and I was just to finish that off, because I was going to say we are obviously always constantly trying to learn and get better. So not only, it's not like basically your investment just keeps paying you back, and it almost just rather than depreciate, it appreciates, because you're getting a coach that's constantly learning and getting better and learning you as well as a client, so they can serve you better. So it's all good things.
I'm going to put you on the spot now, Mike, and I might regret this, having heard what you just said. This week, anything new that you learned?
That I've learned.
Anything big or small.
Okay, good. So, interestingly, and I thought of you immediately, actually, because I had a CPD session at the physio clinic, and there's one of my colleagues there. He is very good with knees, and so he was talking to us about knees, essentially things like meniscus, post-surgery, etc. And I mentioned this on my story as well, but he was talking about the patellofemoral joint. And so patellofemoral joint is literally the joint between your kneecap and the actual knee. So your kneecap essentially sits and glides within a groove called your trochlear groove. And they were kind of essentially saying that at different points of knee flexion, that there is less or more contact with the kneecap between the kneecap and the femur. And so again, depending on the exercise, depending on where you are in that range, that can put either more forces on the patellofemoral joint, but also you'll be putting other stress on other tissues. So for example, if you are at the top range of a leg extension, that's putting a lot of stress on your patellofemoral joint. Whereas actually it's the reverse if you're in a more compound movement. So if you're in a leg press or, a squat, there's probably less loads at top extension, a little bit more at the bottom. So that was quite interesting. And it was just, again, it was getting me thinking about you and thinking about, how can we potentially apply this? Is there anything different we can do to bulletproof your knees a little bit more, sort of thing? But so that was interesting. And there is probably a ton more, but it's kind of, you've put me on the spot, so it's all out of my head.
You gave me a great one. I was worried you wouldn't have anything for me. And I was like, yeah, it is putting you on the spot completely. But there you go. Constantly learning. You actually went to a clinic and learned something. So that's great. Yeah. And actually, well, this is a bit, you learn doing courses, learn in training, learn through working with clients. And so, yeah, with my own training, in fact, which I had a client, Kieran, who has had patellar tendonitis as well. And he was like, he put knee sleeves on and it just went, basically. It was just like solved it. And so I'd spoken to you about trying out knee sleeves a while ago. And I was always like, knee sleeves, they're like a bit of a crutch, as it were. And I was like, why would you ever need them per se? It's better just not to use them. That was always my like bias against them, really. But anecdotally, I know so many lifters that use them and really just like them. And then when I think about what it's doing, I'm like, well, it's not as long as you're not, they're not knee wraps, as it were. So you're not getting like pounds and pounds added to your lift because you're kind of using them as like extra muscle basically and bouncing off them. And so long as you control that bottom end range of motion, they're not really doing anything apart from like supporting the joint and keeping it warm. So anyway, all that to be said, I tried just using them as a warm up and I was like, hey, my knees feel much better having just warmed them up with the knee sleeves. And I have like my decade-old SBD knee sleeves that are size medium, but I'm like, I feel like they're too small. They're very tight. But that was the whole thing. When you're powerlifting, you basically want the tightest knee sleeves so you do get that recoil a little bit more. And it helps as you come out the hole or what have you. Anyway, so I've been using them myself. I use them on hack squats and I use them today on pendulums. And my knees just feel like they kind of feel bulletproof. It's like that bottom end range of motion has never felt as comfortable as having that knee sleeve there. And yeah, I guess they bunch a little bit behind the knee, so that changes the mechanics a little bit. And it's certainly giving me a little bit of something, I think. I don't think it's like, hey, it's all just quads, for example. But I think the key is that I'm taking that muscle close to failure, and it feels like I'm not getting those unwanted signs of fatigue, like joint and connective tissue fatigue, which I was not wearing knee sleeves. So I'm like, I can't really see the downside of wearing them apart from if I forget them and then are my knees okay? Or do I probably have to adjust my expectations in terms of load and repetitions there? I've also tried to find, I don't know if you've ever tried to find any, Mike, but I've tried to find thinner ones. The ones I've got are like obviously the SBD fairly thick ones, but most seem to be like 3-ply, which I think is what those are. And so finding thinner ones is a bit I didn't find it super easy. Probably there's listeners who are like, yeah, I've got a link to thinner ones, and then maybe I'll buy some thinner ones because I think it's kind of similar to like wearing a big powerlifting belt versus like a thinner belt. So probably a thick powerlifting belt gives you a bit more of something, whereas a thinner belt might not. But the key is that you're able to lift like with stability. So I've used to use my thick powerlifting belt. Now I use the thinner one, and it provides me enough support, and I really like it. So it's just stuff like that, right? And actually, similarly, if I didn't have my belt, I'd be able to do RDLs and squat patterns and so on and so forth, but I would have to reduce loads probably, because it does give me that extra stability and therefore force production. So kind of a bit of a lesson, but it wasn't my intention for that to be my lesson of the week. But basically, if you're suffering from knee issues, knee sleeves might be something just to throw on there and see if they help.
Definitely. And again, it comes back to what we've said before about never kind of closing off a particular avenue. So we've talked about this with like exercises as well, where don't write an exercise off if it doesn't work for you right now, because it might be that if you go away from it, maybe a few months later, you come back and it feels better again. And same thing with knee sleeves and all of these other things. They're just tools. So give them a go. You've got nothing to lose.
Yeah. I can't tell you, my knees have never felt like they feel really good, like really secure in that bottom position. I'm like, man, I wish I'd been wearing these a bit longer. Maybe they'd have helped me like bring up the quads even further. So I'm kind of excited for it, to be honest with you. As a lesson from this past week, so I've been slowly making my way through Ben. I want to say Yanes, but I think he's Yanis is the way you describe it.
Is it?
I think so. I'm not entirely certain. Anyway, Ben, who obviously was on the podcast a while ago, and his thing is biomechanics. I bought his course a while ago, and I've been making my way through his biomechanics course. And it's just been great, like reminders of all the kind of core basics I understood and kind of know, but puts it in a very... I just like the way that he talks and educates. It's very clear. He obviously knows it really, really well, so he simplifies things nicely. So I've been liking that. And just one thing I took away from it was on my RDL specifically, thinking about not letting my knee kind of move backwards and keeping a vertical knee, because what that inevitably is doing is if your knees are traveling back, if your hips are staying, well, your hips will travel back, but they're not lengthening anymore. But that could be putting more strain across your back, which isn't really the goal. So obviously you're trying to take origin away from insertion. So if you keep your knee locked, then hips back is stretching the hamstrings. But as soon as the knee starts traveling back, it's now not lengthening anymore. So it could just create instability and you get joint discomfort and things like that. So that was quite nice, because then I've just, for my good mornings, I think I actually said it to you, Mike, where my good mornings just felt so much more productive, keeping my knee a bit more locked or locked but soft, whereas before I was having them like very like stiff, and that kind of, I can't remember if it's passive or active. I think it's active insufficiency, where you can be so like straight in a joint where you can't produce as much force. And I just found that was happening to me on the good mornings, or I was trying to create force from areas but not really getting what I wanted from it. And again, using those biofeedback, which we've done with your good mornings, or you've done with your good mornings rather, in terms of, hey, where was I getting discomfort and where was I getting like stimulus? And it's just been better. Like I'm feeling it in the right areas, feeling it post-workout in the right areas and not in the wrong areas, which for hip hinges, I think a lot of people can end up feeling it in their lower back and in their hips, and it's not really where they want it.
Yeah, like that. I think that's a massive thing for hip hinges. People who are saying like their lower back is sore, or it's too much stimulus in their lower back, nowhere else. So yeah, I remember you walking me through this in our check-in, and I was like, yeah, this is really interesting and worth knowing. And it's, yeah, you're always picking stuff up and you're always relearning things, because again, like a big thing for me this past week or two was essentially tempo again for me, because because we kind of picked up on the fact that I get this second wind with exercises, and it's not like a conscious thing where I'm kind of not putting effort into it, but it just kind of happens. But something that is a great cure is just being explosive with the concentric, just making sure that I'm doing that. And when I'm doing that, I don't get that second wind. It's just very reliable. And after we kind of discussed it and I made the changes, I kind of got frustrated a little bit, because I was kind of like, why am I making this mistake again? How have I forgotten? It's, I'm better than this. But then this is just part and parcel of it. I then told myself, it's normal to sometimes just relearn lessons. So, yeah, that was just it was good for me to do that as well.
Habits are hard to break, aren't they? The saying is like getting back into your old ways, and it's so easy, Mike. Like I've done it time and time again with whether it be training, nutrition, like lifestyle stuff, where I'm like, I was doing so good at doing whatever it was, and then I just got into my like old habits again. And so I think it's normal, and I think it's part of the process. And that's what I love about bodybuilding. It's just forever learning, like you said, relearning, but doing it even better. And so, yeah, anyway, we pass all these gems to our clients.
Exactly. And it's humbling as well, because as soon as you think like, oh, I've got this down, and it's like, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. And also, again, importance of accountability, because if we hadn't have gone through our form videos, then you wouldn't have picked up on it, and I would have just made the mistake for even longer. So again, another shout out for coaching there.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other updates on your end? Anything that's happened this week for you? Anything that happened over the weekend that was like particularly of note or exciting?
Yeah, so he kind of set me up there. So I last weekend I went out for a social with my physio colleagues, and it was really good. And it's funny because again in our check-in you were like, I hope you weren't just saying it was really good. But no, genuinely it was really good. I got there because I was a bit nervous because one, I get nervous at social events anyway, particularly when there's a lot of people. One-to-one, I'm great. When there's big groups of people, I'm not so great. I just feel overwhelmed, particularly in like environments which are very stimulating. So if there's like a lot of noise, if there's a lot of people, like I get a bit like, whoa, this is a lot.
So clubbing isn't for you, Mike.
I hate clubbing. I hate clubbing. Like at uni, I was terrible. I would just totally avoid that environment whatsoever. Oh, I hated it. I hate it thinking about it even now.
Hey, we found something Mike really hates.
Yeah, I know. I don't use the H word too much, but you got it out of me. There you go, finally. But no, and I went so there's this really nice place in Oxford called the Flight Club, and it's basically...
It's a chain.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
There you go. Lesson learned. Have you heard of Traitors? Like,
That's an inside joke. I don't know if the listeners know about that
one. Stranger Things. Yeah. So basically, I got there. It was darts, and I got into the door, and it was noisy, and I was like, "Oh God!" But it was great. I don't know what happened, but I just happened to be on good form, and it was just a really enjoyable evening. It was really fun. I felt relaxed. Had some good food afterwards. So yeah, it was really, really good.
I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, that's why I kind of prompted, because I think your default is like, yeah, it was really good. And so I just wanted to make sure, was it actually really good? Because like sometimes it's not, like, and then that's also fine though. Like I said to you, it's like, if you don't try, you never know. And like, what's the worst that can happen? And yeah, it could be like, come back to coaching. Like you could try the coaching, be the best thing you ever did. Like it honestly could be. Like I'm sure we have clients who are so grateful for having been coached. But also, obviously, there's some people that try it and they're like, yeah, I mean, it was all right, but like, hey, I'm back doing my own thing or whatever. That also happens. But if you don't try, you don't know what you could be missing out on. But that's the same for many things in life. And so, yeah, it comes back to, like, I'm not great for traveling and I don't like flying and all of that. But partly why I bought this laptop is because I want to ensure that I make myself a bit more flexible to travel. Charlotte said, like, that's something... I was glad she highlighted it to me. She's like, you're not very flexible. Like you don't often travel to like go see other people and like so on and so forth. I'm like, yeah, man, I am a little bit like a homebody and like locked into a routine. And what doesn't help me is Ada, of course, because I have to be around virtually all the time. I took her with me actually to see Greg, even though she hated because it was raining the whole time, but she got a lot of love, which was nice, and I'm glad Greg got to meet her. I was also a complete tangent, but the thing that didn't throw me, I've met Greg before. He's so tall. I don't know how tall Greg is, but he's like, he must be 6'4", 6'5". Like I went to hug him, and I was like, "Oh, you're a huge giant." I completely forgot how tall he is, but yeah, it's great that you enjoyed the social, and you can go do those more often, or if those sort of things come up, you can go do those things, because
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of the listeners will be able to relate, especially
Mm.
like I am similar. Like going and like I've gone to a few music things. Like I'm just like, people love festivals or going and seeing a concert, and I can't think of it. Like musicals, like there's some great musicals in London. Not for me. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
Not into it at all. I like beats, like listening to beats, but it's not my jam at all. And I think that's okay. Like people have preferences, right? And so
Definitely.
you're allowed to hate things as well, Mike.
And have you ever seen Mamma Mia?
Mamma Mia. Uh, as in like
The
in
music,
London,
not
seeing
as
the
a musical,
musical.
but just in general. Have you watched the film or?
No, I think I've completely avoided it, Mike.
Yeah, me too. Like some people talk about it, and I'm like, no, it just doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. It's like, how can you not see Mamma Mia? It's like, no, it's just, oh, no.
I will go slightly back on my word. I didn't mind Back to the Future. We saw
Yeah.
was a musical, but I don't know. It didn't. It was like a theme that interested me, which helps. And then also, I've seen Lion King and Aladdin, both musicals. Man, I sound really hypocritical now, don't I? Those I kind of enjoyed. So maybe I need to go try Mamma Mia, or Les Mis is the other one that it's like Charlotte really wants to see Les Mis, but I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's like,
I think you can appreciate the performances because you, with some of the stuff in Back to the Future, like they had I don't know, all the scenery and all the special effects and stuff, and like that was really cool. So you can appreciate, I think, the performances, but maybe it's just I don't know, something about the singing and the dancing and the jazz hands, the Magic Mike hands. It's just, I don't know, something's a bit turny-offy about it.
it's like some people really love doing karaoke. I
Mm.
can't think of anything worse.
No.
I'm like, no, I do not want to sing. I'm not interested at all in trying to perform a song. It makes me so uncomfortable, so awkward. Hey, but if it's like darts or like mini golf, like an activity, I'm all over it. Hiking, do something where we're active. I'm totally into it. But yeah, no, not karaoke. I'll just sit in a corner and listen to everyone, or try and find a quiet corner I can have a little chat with someone.
Totally. And I was going to say, though, I imagine that you're a lot more flexible than you used to be, probably with some things more than others, but I have no doubt that you'll continue to get better in terms of your flexibility.
Yeah, I think so. And definitely this laptop, I made sure to get the 15-inch versus the 13-inch, because I was like, the thing that's always put me off recently, at least, with my laptop's old, also the screen. I'm so used to this. I don't know how big this screen is, but it's big. Thankfully, I don't have two screens, because that would probably make it even worse. Because I'd be like, I'm so used to two screens. So I just got one big screen. So at least this is like, it felt like a nice size screen and everything. And in fact, now I've bought it too. You know, when you buy something, you're like, I want to use that then, because like it cost money. So I'm like, I want to find opportunities where I can go travel and do it. The other problem is I used to quite like working out from home because I didn't have like a desk. Whereas now I'm so lucky. I have this room which I've set up to be like amazing. And so I don't like working anywhere else. So I'm like, hey, this is like the best environment for me to work in.
It's just practice, right? And exposure. Because also one thing you've said to me as well is how different or awkward a laptop feels. Like you don't know how to, like you've got the mouse pad instead of the actual mouse itself. But I don't know any different. And I think it's just, the more you do it, you'll just get used to it.
When you move to, actually, what you'll probably want to do, this would be a great consideration, is just get an external screen that's big, and then you can plug your laptop into it and use your laptop as if it's a desktop, or use two screens then. Like that would be a great setup. In hindsight, I'm like, why did I get the MacBook Studio? Did I need that much power? I probably could have just got a MacBook Pro, so they're a bit thicker than the Air, of course, but that's probably powerful enough to do everything I need it to do, and then I could just plug and play, so I can just take it off my desk, unplug it from the screen, and then go, and it's got everything I need on it. Whereas now it's like I have two separate devices. I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Hindsight's 2020. I'm teaching you not to make the mistakes I made, Mike.
Exactly. I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I'm still the other things that I'm going to learn is things like tattoos as well, because I'm still heavily considering it as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I need, when Simon next releases his spots, I need to look at when they're going to be, because I need to line it up well within my year, but I'm eager to get this bit of space filled on my calf, and then it's a question of where do I go from there. That's the problem.
Well, that's the beauty. That's the beauty. Do you think Simon would be good at advising on that? Do you think if you asked him like, "Hey, where do you think we should go next?" But if you said like, I am conscious about, you know, bodybuilding and not covering certain areas," and you just get his feedback on that.
I think he'd be like, what's bodybuilding? He'd be
Really?
like, what the fuck, dude? Like, just tell me where you want the tattoo.
Yeah.
Don't
It's like,
think he'd
fuck
help.
your striations. We're putting it here.
Yeah. Like we know as well, like the spaces really, you can cover your calves, you can cover your forearms, hands, you could do your feet. So I would have feet, neck,
Yeah.
face, which I'm not interested in doing. And I think you can get away with doing like, hey, maybe you do one arm as a full sleeve, but the other arm's not. So you can have like asymmetrical tattoos, I think would be okay. Cause at least as a judge, I'm like, if I can see one quad is fully through and like I can see all the definition, I can't necessarily see on the other quad, but your brain does like this thing of like, okay, if that's there, then the other side must be, right? You kind of, obviously I'm not like thinking about it in the time, but your brain kind of does those like jumps in decision making. So I don't think it hurts people as much if it's asymmetrical, but if it's like your entire back is done or your entire chest, I just think that's going to start causing a problem. So whilst I'm still trying to be competitive in bodybuilding, I'm going to abstain from covering certain areas.
And what was the next? I can't remember what we were saying. Are you thinking of, have you decided the character that you'd go for?
No, I'm still not sure. It's going to be Hunter x Hunter because I do want to keep to the theme, that thing that I'm doing, batching that, because I think it just, I don't know, it makes sense in my head and I like that. Other people probably isn't like a thing for them, but yeah, the character I'm not sure. Gon is the easy, like, hey, Gon the main character, and he goes with Killer really nicely. And I'm also tempted to just go very rogue and go for one of the like Phantom Troop, just like one of the lesser known ones that looks cool somehow. So I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I what was I gonna say? I've completely forgotten now. That's really annoying when that happens. But that was it. So yesterday when I was in the gym, the Attack on Titan Reluctant Hero song came on, and I think that the Attack on Titan music is the best music, period. Like it just hit me on a visceral level. I just felt so just emotional yet inspired, and I was just like, oh man.
The reason I'm laughing, Mike, is I'm going to say something hypocritical here, because I'm not into going and seeing concerts and music and stuff, but I have seen that, I think maybe Naruto did it as well, but especially Attack on Titan, I think they had some showings of that music, like with an orchestra in New York. And I was like, if they did that in London, I would so go, because that music hits. And I absolutely agree with you. Like some of that music is just, yeah, it's great. I listen to it in the gym and it gets me through some hard sets, and yeah, I just completely agree.
Yeah, it's just like it just gets to a beat and then just immediately just something switches and you're just like, right, I'm in, we're gone.
Do you want to get to any questions?
Why not? We're here,
Yes.
And
I'm going to ask you the first one because I need
okay.
As you saw, I was just drinking a cherry tango and it's gone straight through me seemingly. And I need to now It's a very good flavor that I recommend, cherry tango, if you've never had it. Tango in general, their diet drinks. Well, they're not all diet, so be careful. But why is my phone being funky?
Before you ask that as well, whilst we're on the topic, I meant to say this. I really need to try Bear Bells again, because this little gain bar, I think this is one of the best protein bars I've had in a long time. And I'm starting to think it's better than Bear Bells, but I haven't had Bear Bells in a long time, so I need to retry it.
I've had Bear Bells quite recently, and I've had that quite recently. That for me is a little too squidgy, texture-wise. It could do with a bit more texture. The cookies and cream Bear Bells for me is like, that texture is great. If you remember that one, which I think you've had quite a few times, that texture with the like the bobbly outside, and it's quite like that's a bit too soft. It also had, and I like the flavor of it, but it's a very, very fake peanut butter flavor. Very sweet, but I like it. It's good.
Mm.
Some of the Bear Bells, I will say, are disappointing. They lack flavor. Like I had a cashew one, or cashew, whatever you say. Yesterday, I was just like, it tastes fine, but I have a protein bar that I tried recently. I'll go over, but I'll ask you the first question first because I need to wee. Adams_garage_Jim asks, if you were to change your training /diet/habits to focus purely on maximizing health, would anything change? If so, what?
Oh, good question, Adam. I think that maybe the volume of my training would probably go down a little bit. Maybe I would essentially do a little bit less. Maybe I'd probably just be also a little bit more open to doing things, such as like, maybe if I wanted to go for a run or like a really long cycle or something. You don't necessarily need to do that for health as such, because when I'm thinking about purely maximizing health, I'm doing a lot of healthy things now. Like I'm prioritizing, plant-based foods in my diet. I'm prioritizing sleep. So essentially, in some ways, I would say I'm maximizing health now to a certain degree. I guess it's just more a case of I'm interpreting this question more from a sense of, if bodybuilding wasn't my highest priority and I just was Joe Blogg's general public, um, it would just be a case of I'd probably just maybe do a little bit less training, have a bit more variety in terms of, different options in terms of maybe more cardiovascular, maybe just more generic stuff. I think that would be the main thing more than anything.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I think if bodybuilding wasn't such a pure focus, I would just do less of it, because I think for health, you basically just need a certain level of vigorous activity in a week, and you can make up that how you somewhat desire. Part of that wants to be resistance training, though, because you do want to make sure that you're loading your bones to make sure that you're kind of also fighting off sarcopenia and osteoporosis and everything like that, which will aid you, of course. And I think then we would just end up doing less, because we probably actually are so the question, I guess, in my head goes, is what we're currently doing maximizing health, or is anything that we do with bodybuilding harming our health? And I would probably say we probably push, because it's an extreme sport and we're trying to be the best we can at it, we probably push it slightly to like being a bit less healthy than it could be, because we just do so much. Like, I don't think like me getting knee tendonitis and like joint and connective tissue flares up, which is just a case of like, hey, yeah, I mean, some people might be able to avoid that to some extent, but everyone knows that if you're really, really pushing something, you're going to get some injuries, and that's not optimal for health, right? So I could probably back off more and live with a bit less muscle and be like, it's marginally healthier, but really not going to do too much else. And then, yeah, if I wasn't concerned about maximizing muscle growth, I think like, similar to you, Mike, I'd probably just like have fun doing some like other activities and bits and bobs. It does kind of combining resistance training with cardio. It sounds like a nice story to say that that's like the maximal, like the best thing to do for health. I don't know how much like strict evidence there is to confirm that completely. And I'm maybe biased because I like to think what we're doing is incredibly healthy, but it's like I said, I think so long as you're got sufficient vigorous activity of some form, including some resistance training, then you're not sedentary throughout the day. You have like a good, just like output generally in terms of like steps. I think it's around that 7K mark is once you've kind of hit 7,000 steps, you basically kind of almost maximize most of the benefits for cardiovascular health and things like this, along with, I don't know the numbers, but sufficient vigorous activity. But if you're doing resistance training 4 times a week with decent volumes and then getting 7K steps and you're not sat for extended periods of time, I'm not sure that doing a lot different to that is going to get you much more in terms of health benefits.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that's well said. It's yeah, and I think one other thing that you made me think of there is like maybe with the way that we were just saying things, that with the degree with which we train, it might come across as like, oh, it's something that we feel we have to do, and it's absolutely not. Like you and I, it's like we love bodybuilding, it makes us happy to train. And so, yeah, it's only, I guess, if bodybuilding wasn't our love as such, that's when we'd look at these other things. But everything that you said around health is really true. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's actually funny. I was speaking to Greg just because you mentioned we love to do it. And I told him, I don't know how it came up, because I think he asked, like, where was I at Christmas and so on and so forth. So I was like, I was in Bude. But what's great about Bude is they have the gym and it's open on Christmas. And I get to I train legs on Christmas Day. He was like, what? You train legs on Christmas Day? Was it because you're trying to earn your Christmas dinner? And I was like, no, like, I love training. I was like, it's like one of it's my favorite thing to do every single day. And he was like, oh, okay. Like, he doesn't really, he kind of sees it more of as a habit, like brushing his teeth, kind of something he kind of, like, he likes the benefits of it, but it's like not his love and passion. Whereas for us, like, you said, we don't have to do it. In some respects, I feel like I have to, because also we want to be our absolute best as a competitor. And so we know we need to invest lots of time, energy towards it. But anyway, it's a tangent. Diet wise, because I didn't touch on diet, I'm trying to think if there's anything. I probably wouldn't go through like deficits and surpluses. Probably just maintain like a healthy kind of BMI type of situation. So even losing a little bit of muscle mass would probably potentially make me healthier, but certainly going through cycles of surpluses and deficits might be slightly less than optimal for maximizing health. Habits, no, I think habit wise, everything we do for bodybuilding, like, I just think anything that's going to maximize health habit wise is going to maximize bodybuilding. So they kind of go together really nicely. And that's part of what really draws me to natural bodybuilding. And I think the same for you, Mike, is like everything we do is like ultimately incredibly health promoting. Yeah, some niggles and injuries and stuff like that. And like that might not be ideal, but the rest is like, it's really good for us. So, and it needs to be, like, you need to take care of your health to be the best bodybuilder. So it's, yeah, I appreciate that about it.
Yeah, I feel so grateful that they go hand in hand. It's just so great that, like, yeah, I've got a hobby that is health focused. Like, because I was thinking sometimes you might look at other people and that might be of a similar age and they look older than they really are. And you just think, like, whereas actually everything that I do is, again, maximizing my health. And I feel like I'm in a really good place from that perspective. And it's so good that I do something that I love that just goes hand in hand with that.
I used to have a bit more of a baby face when I had hair. The
Yeah.
hair loss didn't help. But I think I maybe would look older if I had like thinning, receding hair. That might even make me look older, unless actually I was quite good at hiding it. Anyway, but I agree with you, like in terms of other facial features and like your physicality as well, like the way you stand, posture, that sort of thing, that all shows through as well.
Oh, and can I just say, this is male problems, but I looked in the mirror and like nose hair, like, it's so frustrating. Like,
You need to get yourself a nose trimmer, Mike.
I know. And I had a nose trimmer and then it totally busted and broken. So I need to get a new one. And fortunately at the moment, it's kind of like a continuation of the beard. So I think the beard kind of
Oh no,
hides it a little bit.
sounds terrible.
If you looked closely, then you'd see those hairs. So I've just got to look down like this.
That's something I actually recently modified. It made quite a difference to my appearance. So that's the only reason I'm saying it, is my neckline. So I'm very careful to maintain a nice neckline. But what I always thought it looks a little off. And I don't know what led me to do this. I think I wanted to understand my face shape for maybe hat fitting and like glasses. Anyway, I put my face into ChatGPT and I was like, what should I do about my beard? And like, bring your neckline up a centimeter, and bring it up a centimeter just like gave me a better jawline and everything. So I was like, now I can like maintain this. Nice. Anyway, I digress.
I need to put my head in ChatGPT and see what it says. Just help me ChatGPT.
One thing I realized that wasn't helping me, at least, was mine's oval to rectangular. So some people have square heads, and so they do really well, quite long beards. But if you have an oval or like longer face shape, like long beards just make you look kind of longer. So it can kind of work against you. But yeah, man, it's not a bad idea to do it.
And one thing that we've got to do as well is, you've got to take me and just help fashion advice me and give me good clothes, because I was seeing on some of the Revive Stronger podcast episodes, you had some really nice shirts, and I was just like, oh, Steve's looking sharp with those shirts. It's so good. And I'm like, I look terrible. All I have is these Demon Slayer hoodies.
Yeah, at least now, I found this out too. Zara. Have you heard of Zara? Yes,
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
Okay, good. I was going to be concerned if you didn't. But online, you can upload I don't know what you need to upload, but take photos of yourself, and then it can put clothes on you. So you can style yourself, so you can, without having to go to the store, which is pretty damn handy.
All right, I'm getting an idea. There you go. Curtains, Zara restyling. This is going to be it.
Before I forget it, I just wanted to mention the protein bar that I had. I don't know if you've seen it, but Grenade released a cream egg collaboration.
I've not seen
so
that.
Charlotte bought me 2 of those. I should have said this past weekend we had a belated Christmas, so we exchanged presents and had a Christmas dinner, which was nice. Which is why I got the photo and got these. She got me a couple of Grenade protein bars. I'd been eyeing them up because I was like, I'm interested to try them. I was like, because cream eggs for me is that filling, that sweet, like really soft, liquidy filling. I don't think they have them in the US, so US people look up a cream egg. It's a very unique confectionery item. It has like an egg yolk in there and like the white, but it's all sugar and it's coated in chocolate. But whilst I liked the protein bar, I was quite disappointed in biting into it because I was expecting it to have this real gooey center like a cream egg. It was just soft and a bit sweet. And it was just like, it was nice, but I was just like, 14 grams of protein in it, and it was I think Grenade can do better.
Yeah, again, did they set the bar too high? Did they just kind of overpromise maybe on it potentially?
Hi guys, Steve here. Just wanted to take a moment of your time to remind you of our online coaching service. At Revive Stronger, we pride ourselves on providing personalized service that will take your physique and knowledge to the next level. If you're interested, check the description and sign up.
Gourmet Paul asks, what the F was the WNBF thinking when it chose the location for this year's Worlds? Shredded competitors, freezing remote city in the middle of nowhere. It's in Calgary, Canada, right?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, when it was in Boston in 2024, that was cold, so it has been in other cold locations. So, no, I think, yeah, I don't think they were thinking about that. I think they was just like, hey, Canada is just the logical place outside of the US in terms of setup and lots of other things. And you know that the WNBF, they're going to be thinking about lots of things. They have to take a lot of factors into consideration. And, it's great. I think we've got to be thankful that it is outside of the US. And I think Canada is the right first step for them, and obviously they'll take things from there. And hey, the outside weather doesn't matter so much. It's what's inside that matters.
I highly recommend you get a very warm coat, because that definitely helped me in Boston and then New York, because it was very cold then. I don't know if this is Calgary or where it is in Calgary specifically, if it's going to be even colder. Is Calgary the city actually? Is that the city? When geography is not geographing.
So I think, and people correct me if I'm wrong, but it's close to Vancouver, so it's more towards the west of Canada. So
Calgary is the city though, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. I have been to Calgary, but I guess, that time of year, it's going to be cold. Yeah, not for a long time.
Yeah, it's going to be cold.
Right, you can ask me the next question then.
All right, so Dargan_MS asks, protein shakes and protes, do you use water or milk in each? And if water, why do you hate yourself?
So I don't do protein shakes. Can't remember the last time I had a protein shake. When you've got protein sludge, and that's like the worst I would go. Like I would pick protein sludge over a protein shake generally, and then you've got Ninja Creamies, and then you've got like things you can mix it into, so like protein oats. So I can't remember the last time I just straight up did a protein shake, unless I bought like a pre-made one, like when I was out and about and I needed to. So yeah, that I can say, if you do it with milk and maybe some ice, you like blend it up, it can make a really nice smoothie, and that can be delicious as a milkshake. But in protein oats, I've done, like, using milk can make it a bit more creamy, and it is nice, but that tends to mean you then don't use as much protein powder because you get quite a lot of protein through the milk. And then if you have less protein powder, it doesn't taste as strong off the protein powder. So I'm like, well, I also don't have those carbs, so I get more of this. So yeah, when I make protein oats, I just do water straight up with some salt and protein powder.
Yeah. And with your method, I don't think you could make it any creamier. I really don't think the milk would make much of a difference, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to try it. But yeah, then it would ramp up the protein total quite a bit, which might not be necessary. And then where do you go? Do you do skimmed, semi-skimmed? Do you do full fat?
I would love for you to try that as an experiment. Just do like a mini bowl of Croats with milk or something, and just give like a live taste test on Instagram or something. You can tell I'm into my live taste testing at the moment.
I think you want to do it more than me. Yeah, Mike suggested we do live taste testing on the podcast there. So on that note, suggestions for things for Mike to live taste test.
Yeah, exactly. You could give some if you want us to do a live tasting session where we try a barbell or a gain bar. Who knows?
Where was I going to go with that? I also wonder how it changes because it adds quite a bit of lactose, and I just wonder how that changes the chemistry. It is essentially chemistry when you cook it all up together, and what that does. So, yeah, I got no other comments. Oh, what I did want to try is Graham's. Have you seen? Basically, it's like Jersey milk. I always see it in the milk aisle, and it's like gold top.
Yeah,
and I've seen it there. I've never ever tried it, and I'm like so intrigued to try that. Because I don't know, is it like amazing? I'd be so interested to hear if people have tried Jersey milk or the gold top milk.
The thing is now though, well, actually, you still have milk with your Ninja Creamy, but obviously it's a Ninja Cream. I was going to say, like, if you have the Jersey milk, but you haven't recently had milk on its own, could you compare the two to see which is?
Oh yeah, I can remember what. Okay, I can tell the kind of increasing creaminess from skimmed to semi-skimmed to then full fat. Semi-skimmed is, a lot of households have semi-skimmed as like their standard. For whatever reason, I came from a skimmed milk standard. So then when I got introduced to higher fat milks, I was like, why have I been drinking the lower fat one the whole time? This is way nicer. But then obviously you have the added calories.
True. You could do a randomized control trial for milk. So you could get Charlotte to buy some milk. Without you looking, she's going to pour Jersey milk, full fat milk, skim milk in different, and then you've got a taste test.
Sounds like something you want to do.
I know. There's all these things.
Right. Next question is, yes, you just asked that one, didn't you? So adapt_and_grow. Will there be a Revive meetup this summer? If so, when can we expect an announcement, flights and stuff? Fights, actually, he said.
Fights and stuff. So we obviously will have a meetup, but I think at the moment we are just still deciding if that's just going to be purely clients or not. I think we haven't kind of discussed it too heavily, but we know we're going to have
Haj would be invited.
There you go.
Previous client. Sorry, I should have said, you didn't know, probably weren't aware he was a previous client. Haj, well, you know Haj.
Yeah, I know Haj. So, so we're definitely having one. We're just we're going to confirm the dates when they are, but we're definitely having one for sure. So we'll let everybody know when that is.
I just made a funny face, sorry, because I was like, previous client is still it's because we're doing, I think it's every other month consultations. So he's kind of still under as a client, but I don't view him like a weekly or bi-weekly, like formal client where I'm programming and stuff. It's much more hands-off. But anyway, still involved very much with the team. So we'll definitely do one. And it's a good reminder for us to start talking about dates and locations, and probably booking out the cut as well. Get ahead with all of that, because I'd love to make a weekend of it of sorts. That'd be good fun.
Definitely. And something that we also wanted, I think, be a bit more conscious of this time is do it well in advance so that people who are further afield, international, maybe it gives you guys as much opportunity as possible to hopefully book the time off and come and see us.
Yeah, for sure.
All
Radio.
right. So Donald Yeh asks, what are the top 3 most important factors for intermediates to become advanced besides consistency and time?
Donald is my client. And top 3 most important. I would say, oh man, intermediates become advanced. Okay, so one of mine will be listening a little bit more to their own body and the feedback that they're getting. So when you're beginner, when you're then intermediate, you can rely upon just general recommendations a lot of the time, for training at least. And you can follow a generic program and you're going to grow. Once you get to later intermediate and when you want to go advanced, you need to start queuing into, okay, what am I responding well to in regards to certain exercises or execution of a certain exercise, or like volumes. And I think also just default so like training hard has to be there. That is like the most foundational thing I think with bodybuilding training, is like you really need to stress musculature, as you have to really get very comfortable pushing to your limits and pushing very hard. And I think that's something I used to discount a little bit, where it's like, yeah, it's easy training to failure, you just train to failure. It's like, well, also don't regularly train to failure, like, and if you don't, then do you really know where you're at? So I think learning your true kind of failure points, I think training closer to failure and really ensuring that your proximal becomes more important the more advanced you get. And so, yeah, just learning that skill. So those would be 2 at least. Maybe you can come up with a third one that comes to mind, Mike.
I think it's one of them is being more comfortable and confident in yourself and being less swayed by what other people are doing. So it might be that maybe when you're a beginner or an intermediate, you might, know that, oh, I'm going to try, doing 50 sets by, I'm going to try doing whatever was on Flex magazine back in the day. Obviously now it's on Instagram, but actually now you're so in tune with your body and you have a better awareness of yourself from what the things you were saying. It's like, hey, I know I'm not going to try that because I know I'm going to give myself an injury, or I'm going to be, I'm going to drive myself off of the cliff type thing. So I think as a result of all the things you mentioned, you just have more confidence in your own processes and you're happy sticking with them.
And the only adjunct to that, and it's going to sound hypocritical, but it's not, is also don't be afraid to be your own experiment. It's the same thing. So try things, but you're your own experiment. So if you see, I don't know, for example, like Eric Helms, like hugely popular in our space, he's doing very high volumes. That doesn't mean it's right for you. You can find an anecdote for low volumes, like a Jeff Alberts, that is someone else, and you might be somewhere else on that spectrum of where you respond best to. So yeah, like we do with our clients, like everyone is their own individual experiment. We don't give cookie cutter programs. I think if we're to summarize our points, it would be like coming to this just conclusion of individualization. Broad strokes work really well at the start, then they start becoming less helpful the more advanced you get. And you can't get that advanced if you just keep relying upon the broad generalizations all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Well said.
Cool. Next question is from Teddy Gross_official. Oh, so it looks like he asked 2 questions, but oh no, it's just 1 question. I can't with leg days do I go high frequency, low volume for legs to limit soreness?
Is it I can't win leg days? No, I don't know. Do I go high frequency, low volume for legs to limit soreness? Okay.
I don't know specifically what he's asking there. You could just look at, for reducing soreness, high frequency, low volume.
Yeah. So, So obviously there is definitely something to that in terms of a higher frequency, because there's going to be the repeated bout effect, which hopefully might limit your soreness. Spreading the volume out a little bit more might help from a recovery perspective. So it it actually leads really well off the back of the last point that we just made, where we talked about you are your own experiment. So, Teddy, I would just say, try it. If soreness is a big issue for you with leg days, try a higher frequency and see how it feels, see how you recover, see if that aids your performance, and go from there. So I'd say go for it and see what happens.
Agreed. I think that's the best way to say it. Yeah. If you have a certain amount of volume, try spreading it across the week a little bit more frequently. And then the second question is for Mike. Dating update. Have you been on any of the apps?
Teddy, gar. So basically, there is no dating update because I haven't. The update is there is no update, Teddy. So yeah, I haven't really been on the dating apps since before Christmas, basically, and it's kind of this thing I'm procrastinating on, basically. So yeah, it is something I'm aware of and I need to go back to. But yeah, I'm currently procrastinating because yeah. It's
no good reason.
It makes me very uncomfortable. So yeah. So if anybody can just comment and give me some words of encouragement, then that would be most appreciated.
Get on with it, Mike. That's your encouragement.
Maybe we need to do a we need to do
a live date.
A live date.
Call in, ladies.
Oh wow.
I will then leave the chat. I'm not staying around. I'm not being a third wheel.
So, new guest on the Improvement Season podcast, Steve is taking a sabbatical, replaced by...
Reminds me, I also need to keep myself accountable. That Thriver blood test hasn't been done yet.
There you go. Okay.
So I'm also not quite as bad as you. I don't think that. I think your dating thing is a bigger situation.
Yeah, for sure. I do need to get on that, man. All right, guys, I'll do it. Okay, I'll give you.
Next week we'll ask for another update. Someone ask.
Maybe 2 weeks, bi-weekly update potentially.
You can literally go on there tonight, Mike.
I know.
Start swiping and typing or whatever you do. I don't
know. Okay. All right, guys, I'll try.
Next question.
All right, so. Jake, our guy, fit_as_hell, asks, can the two of you collaborate on one creamy recipe to rule them all for a creamy newbie?
I'm guessing you have your standard recipe you use every single time.
Pretty much.
What's yours, Mike?
So essentially, it is a protein powder. The flavor might differ depending on what protein powder I've got in there.
Do you not have a preference of protein powder? Have you noticed different protein powders provide superior outcomes?
Well, interestingly, for a long time now, the only protein powder that I've had is just the bulk whey protein.
Okay.
So I haven't had the chance to experiment with other brands. Well, tell a lie, actually. I have done a creamy recipe with, say, Protein Works, but I haven't noticed a difference between Protein
Whey
Works.
concentrate again.
Yeah. I haven't really noticed a major difference between that and the bulk and stuff, so I probably couldn't say.
You haven't tried casein yet?
I've added casein to, I think I swear I have, but I didn't notice a major difference. Maybe I just did it wrong. But yeah, I'm sure I've done it as well, but yeah, I didn't notice a difference. But anyway, I will just use whey protein.
How much?
How much?
Quantities.
Okay, quantities. I go high. I go 55 grams. So I put in quite a lot. And then I'll put in 450 mils of almond milk. And then I'll put in a bit of xanthan gum. I'll put in some salt, a little bit of just regular sweetener. And then what else do I put in there? A banana. And that's it.
Your creamy is much bigger than mine.
Mm.
Actually, wait. Almond milk, did you say it was unsweetened?
Unsweetened, yes.
Yeah. Just their lowest. What brand?
It's
Alpro
just Lidl.
Lidl. Okay.
It's just like a Lidl own brand.
My recipe provides a smaller one, but mine is 250 mils of skim milk. And I actually like to buy Bob, which is a brand which basically they say their skim milk. It's funny we're talking about milks. Their skim milk tastes like semi-skimmed, but it has the macros more similar to skimmed. So I use Bob. I actually use that part because like that element, but mostly because it has a long shelf life, and I don't use that much. Like I buy 2 liters or whatever the massive thing is, the jug, and so it lasts quite a long time. Similar to like Cravendale, they like filtrate it a bit more so the impurities are out, so it has a longer shelf life or whatever. Anyway, so I use 250 mils of skim milk, Bob, and not that you have that in the US, Jake. Then mine's 30 grams of a protein powder. If I whey concentrate works really well, or like a whey blend tends to work really well. At the moment, I've just been getting through my Ghost whey concentrate because it doesn't work very well in oats, as we talked about previously, but it works great in a Ninja Creamy. And then I think actually I have guar gum because I bought like a huge container worth off Amazon and I ran out of xanthan. I used to use a combination. I don't really notice that much difference just using guar gum, like half a teaspoon. Do you use like half a teaspoon or do you use more of your xanthan?
I actually weigh it. I go 4 grams of xanthan gum.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a fair bit. I don't actually know how much that is, but it sounds like quite a bit.
I think it's like a teaspoon or kind of half to 3/4 of a teaspoon.
Okay. Yeah, I use like half a teaspoon. I don't weigh it out. Bit of salt, and I don't add any sweetener to this. When it's Ghost, they're sweet enough. And also if I use, what's it called? Perform Whey, they're sweet enough generally not to have to add extra sweetener, which I quite like, not having to add that to it as well. And then I add a banana. Well, I weigh out 80 grams of banana and put 80 grams in. And then I just top it up with a bit of water, basically to clean out the shaker, and then just top it up to like the top bit. Because if you go above that, it does start to spill over quite a bit. And then for you, Mike, do you just put it through light ice cream once and then consume, or what's your mode?
Typically, I always have to blend it, but then I have to do a respin because for whatever reason, a lot of the times it doesn't get the right consistency the first time around. But after I've respun it once, it's like, now it's perfect.
I used to find that I liked it just once through, just light ice cream, but now I do respin it. But I don't actually respin it, sorry. I use the mix-in. I found respin was a bit too whipped, and sometimes it goes like a bit too airy. So then I was like, what's less than that? Oh, mix-in. So I just do a mix-in, and it gets it to the like perfect consistency. And then I often freeze it, for 10 more minutes to like get it a bit harder again.
Do you? So
it's just become a bit of a routine.
Yeah, I do the opposite. I like to leave it out for like 15 minutes or so.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, because
mine would be all sort of melted at that point.
Would it? Maybe this is the different method. Maybe because mine's bigger, because I find it's too solid still for me to go in straight away. So I like to thaw it out for a little bit.
One thing I will say is when do I do this? Oh, so once I've frozen it, getting way in the weeds of this shit. Once I've frozen it, take it out of the fridge. So we talked about our wet ingredients and dry ingredients, all this shit. Freeze it overnight, and then I run it under a hot tap before I put it into the Ninja Creamy, so it's not all icy around the outside. That might help.
Okay,
it might help.
So let me say that again. So you take it out of the freezer, run it under the hot tap, then put it in the Ninja Creamy, then do a mix in, then put it back in the freezer for another 10 minutes.
10 minutes. That step is not necessary. Just sometimes I was like, it's a bit soft, so I'll put it in here. Or if I'm going to wait, I'm fine doing that. You don't want to leave it for too long, though, because then it does just become an ice block.
Yeah.
Which thankfully has never happened. Probably spent too long on that question, but maybe we answered what you needed, Jake.
Hopefully you got it. We'll build on it next time, maybe, if you need more details.
Oh, no, more details. I don't think we could have been more detailed. Do you do mix-ins then, or no mix-ins anymore?
So I was going to say this. I prefer to sprinkle it on the top rather than mix it in.
Yeah.
So if I was to add like nuts or peanut butter, I just like to put it on top instead.
I don't bother, but that's partly because I just don't want to backload too much of my calories and food, basically. So I just try and that's why mine's a bit smaller, and I just it's just a bit of a dessert to my dinner then. Yeah.
Nice. Right. I think it's you to ask.
Brad Cross 921 asks, I overthink my leg press form. Go old school and keep it in active ROM and focus on more weight, or lighten the weight and do RP style.
So I think this is, again, a great example, and you said it yourself, Brad, where essentially just getting a bit too paralysis by analysis. This is more going off my experience. I would, again, get you to focus on that fast concentric and a nice controlled eccentric, and maybe, again, just I would actually, so sorry to dart about the place. I would first get you to start off with that active range of movement and that weight and just that explosive concentric. And then if that's not working, if you're struggling to get a good mind muscle connection or stimulus from that, then try the light and load RP style type thing.
Yeah, I think what you said there is great. And my thoughts go, I've done what he's referring to, like RP style, basically trying to go as deep as possible whilst, I guess, not letting lower back round too much. But what I did find is with a bit of hip shift, my glutes would get involved quite a bit. And they started just receiving more of the stimulus than I would ideally like. So I think I'm not saying it's necessarily a problem. I don't think one of those ways is necessarily better than the other. I think it's kind of what's the goal of the lift for you. And when I think about leg press, most people are going for quads. So that's generally like a lower stance, feet around shoulder width. Maybe you can go a bit wider. The kind of width of your stance doesn't matter too much. I would say a bit wider is probably going to end up getting a bit more adductors. You stretch them out a bit more. A bit narrower is going to be more quads. But feet low is the basically most important thing. And then your stance is going to be anywhere like hip width to slightly outside of that. If you're going like sumo stance, I'd probably bring it in a bit. If you're going narrower than hip width, that's probably not going to feel great. Then in terms of foot angle, like a lot of people do really well with feet forward. And I think that's really great for quads because then it just leads to you being like knee flexion, like really toes forward. I think some people, me included, need toes out a little bit. That just relieved so much for me in different hip anatomies. You'll know this better than I do, but so many people have different like ball socket joints. Like it's a ball socket joint, but some people are just built different. So they have to go wider or narrower and then come as low as you can whilst maintaining a good, again, this is the main difference, I think, with RP versus like old school active ROM. And it's whether or not you let that passive stretching come into play where you come deeper, but maybe you get a bit of that hip rising up or your heels rise up a little bit. And I think that's something that is a bit of self-discovery with the lift. And I can't necessarily, one is wrong and the other one is better. The only additional point, I think there was some research that looked at like leg press ROM and they found, I think it was when someone came down to at least 90 degrees, they got just as good vastus lateralis growth, but a little less adductor and glute growth. So then that could play into, okay, think less about just the leg press and right range of motion of the leg press, but what's the range of motion of the target musculature for that lift in particular. So, and then it also, honestly, and this is probably the biggest thing, it so varies to leg press to leg press. Some leg press, you probably had it, Mike, where it just lets you get into a really deep, productive range of motion because of it's just set up well. And others, it's like, if I try and come deep on this, I'm going to break. It's not good. It's going to put me in the worst position. So, yeah, lots of thoughts. If this was a client, I'd want to see form videos and then talk through biofeedback and assess SFR.
I think the only additional point I would also add to that is just beware of novelty as well. I think that's why it's important to really just commit to one style, like find a style, as you mentioned, Steve, but then just commit, Brad, to doing it for like a good, maybe like month or two, so that because if you try one style and then the next week you try something else, then obviously there might be a bit of novelty. You're not giving it long enough for maybe the technique or something to marinate. So kind of feel it out, but then commit to something, then really give it a good try for a long period of time. And then only then, if you think, nah, the SFR just isn't feeling great, right, then go to something different.
Yeah, very well said. And ultimately, it could be like much of a muchness at the end. Like it might not be that one is better. It's just a variation. Could be a variation for you.
Totally.
Right. Oh, yes, it's for me. Or you.
All
for
right.
me.
So Remy Saka, our guy with the questions, asks, you wake up at 35% body fat. How do you approach getting to 12%? How aggressive do you cut? How long do you think you'll need to cut? How many breaks?
Oh, there's would have to be so many assumptions needed to be made to give an actual answer to that. So, in terms of, oh man, I don't even know if I'd be able to physically get to 35% body fat, but obviously I'm waking up at 35, so I'm there. I think my body would so quickly if I just ate mindfully, I think it would so quickly come down to like below 20% within a very, very short period of time. But at the start, I'd be looking to lose between like 1 to 2%. And I'd probably get down to around 20%, low teens. Once you've lost about 10% of your body weight, there is research to indicate that the adaptive mechanisms to your metabolism get increased. So it becomes harder and harder to diet at that point. So quite often it's a good idea, once you've lost about 10% of your body weight, to kind of take pause, allow your metabolism to adapt back up a bit to where it would be to maintain that weight. And again, to relieve diet fatigue. The length of time that you're going to need varies vastly person to person. And so I would also regulate that based off like rating their diet fatigue, similar to like how we do through a recovery period after a show, like what's diet fatigue out of 5 on various factors, and then take as long as I needed, and then take another punt, maybe look to lose another 5 to 10% of the body weight at that point. And I'm assuming it's all body fat, but it's definitely not going to be. But maybe I get down to about like low 20s, and then I'd get down to like mid-teens and get closer to 12%. It might take 2 goes for like someone who's like very plastic in that sense. For some people, it might take like 4 goes, and it could take double the length of time, therefore. So that could, like in theory, be done in... I can imagine someone could do that in as little as like 20 weeks of dieting. I think that would be too little. Probably on the low end, it's going to take about 30, with maybe a 4 to 12 week break in between those on the lower end, and then it could be double that on the higher end. At least that's where my head goes with it.
Yeah, and I would almost allow more time, I would say, just because shit might happen sometimes. So
Life happens, yeah. It's a long time. It's a lot of weight to lose, and it's a long time. You never know what's going to happen.
yeah, absolutely. And I think in those sorts of situations, it's like, don't be in a rush, in a sense, like, because particularly if in this example someone isn't a competitor, like we obviously would be, but maybe in this scenario we're not, like you're not competing anything, there's not a deadline, so don't put pressure on yourself to have to get there tomorrow. It's like, again, as cheesy as it sounds, it is just focus on the process, because maybe you won't. And again, sorry, I'm going off of the question a little bit here, but because Remy said like, oh, you wake up at 35% body fat. But for people who might be 35% body fat, there are habits and behaviors that have maybe got them there. And it's like, hey, we maybe have to just unravel that a little bit. And that's where taking a little bit longer in time to improve those things will help.
Yeah, it's very well said. You think about how long it took someone to get there. Like they're not going to undo that really, really quickly. So I'm like very much taking it in theory with, like, I took it very much at face value of the question, whereas you're diving into like tangents, which makes sense. I think for people that's really helpful too.
But no, nothing else to add there.
Cool. The next question, yes. Will Rabby _ asks, how important do you think blood work is for naturals looking to compete? Funny enough, me not doing my blood work.
I think I don't think it's massively important, because I think it's nice to have. It's nice to see if it maybe reflects some of the things that you're either feeling or experiencing. But at the end of the day, you know, when you at the very tail end of prep, yeah, sure, of course, we're not healthy then. We're in a relative energy deficiency, etc. But at the end of the day, outside of that, we are overall in a healthy place. And I don't think blood work would be helpful in changing anything. Again, I kind of liken it to, is it going to change anything that we're going to be doing? No, it's probably not. So unless someone was having a specific health concern that would necessitate blood work, then I would say no.
I think your phrasing of it's a nice to have is the best way to think about it. Like, it's absolutely not a must by any means. There's tons of bodybuilders, natural, that compete and probably have never ever done blood work. And so it's absolutely not a must. But if you have the money and the energy and time for it, could it be something that maybe could catch something that you're not aware of? Maybe. Most of the time, people are probably symptomatic of those things. And therefore, and often if you are symptomatic, you maybe know what you need to do anyway to help. I think it's more of a case of, if you've got symptoms of something and then you've tried to solve it, we need to look under the hood. And then it's like, okay, this is a deeper dive. I think a lot of things you can solve. Actually, I'd kind of liken it a little bit to like, and this might not be a good analogy, but for like MRI or like a scan, it's like you don't necessarily need to do that deep dive. You might know enough from the symptoms and then like be able to manage it through physio without having to go get the scan. And then if you're still struggling, that's when you'd kind of escalate to getting a scan. You don't, again, you could get blood work. I'm also concerned for some people. It's like, are you looking for something to be wrong? Because if the saying goes, like, if you're looking for something, you'll find it. You'll find something wrong. And that's, it's not maybe a good thing. And interpreting blood work as well, it's not like you need a medical professional, because some things need to be taken at specific times. You might want repeat readings of certain things. And so you can't just like give it to your coach and be like, hey, give me my blood work and tell me like what, and interpret it for me. It's like, oh, like they're not like, people in the medical field have gone through flipping years to earn their PhD specifically for this sort of thing. So I think people just have to be a bit careful, because I think it has become one of those, oh, just go get blood work. You should get blood work. It's like, there's a reason I haven't done my blood work now with the kit. I was interested to do it because it was like a nice to have, and I was like, oh, I wonder, I'm quite lean at this point, like post show, is my testosterone in range? And it was, and that was really the only thing. Otherwise, it was just telling me things like everything else was healthy, and then my thyroid was a little elevated, which makes sense. I was like post show, right?
Yeah.
And so I imagine I'll do this blood work, and I mean, I might eat my own words. I'll do this blood work at some point. I imagine it will just all come back within range pretty much. So yeah, the human body is very smart. If you give it the right inputs, it's going to keep you healthy and alive. That's the goal, right? It's for survival. So like, I think some people think, oh, like there could be something wrong with me, so I should do blood work. It's like the human body is there for survival. It should be healthy if you give it the right things for health. And like we said, natural bodybuilding is super healthy. And I sometimes think a lot of what naturals do just bleeds from the competitive enhanced side. They need to do blood work. They need their liver markers. They need to know that they're not fucking themselves over, because they are taking in drugs that are going to cause bad health.
Yeah.
And so they need to make sure that they have their health as good as possible, and blood markers is the way to measure that. Whereas for us, we're not playing around with that stuff. So yeah, that's my kind of 2 cents.
No, like, yeah, so many good things there. I the thing that I like the most is, because I think with this sort of thing as well, it's so easy to nocebo yourself or placebo yourself. But, you know, it's the same thing with sleep tracker apps, etc. Too much information can be a dangerous thing. So unless you've got someone has a legitimate reason, like you said, maybe they're, you know, addressing a lot of interventions to help, you know, help their health get back to a good place, or to help certain symptoms recover, and it's not working right now, let's look into these additional things. Again, the thing that we always say in the physio realm when it comes to scans is it going to change management? Is getting a scan going to change your management? If it's not, there's no point in us having it right now. And it's the same thing with blood markers. It's like, hey, is this going to change inherently anything you're going to be doing? No, probably don't need it. So yeah.
So well said. It makes me think of like a lot of people in our space have Oura rings. It's probably the best piece of fitness technology for trying to measure your sleep. But it's like you said, if I had an Oura ring, I don't think it would change the way I do anything about my sleep, because I do everything I can to make it as good as possible. And so, where was I going with this? I'd have thought, so I think for some people, so for example, someone might do a blood test and they're like, vitamin D is low. but we supplement with vitamin D in the, like, particularly in winter, because we know that's something that makes sense to supplement with. So for some people, I think it can be a bit of a like prod to be like, hey, you should be doing this thing. Same with Aura Rings, but like, hey, you need to get into bed for more time because you're not really getting the hours you need. Whereas we're already like setting those things. So I think it can be helpful in certain scenarios. But again, if you're already ticking the boxes in terms of what you should be doing, you probably don't need to go out of your way to something to tell you, hey, yeah, you've been doing a good job ticking the boxes.
Exactly. Are you okay for time, by the way?
Yeah, let's run through these questions. If we can do them somewhat quickly, that would be good.
Okay. So _Manji Machine asks, if bulking up a client that's 130 pounds, what are the minimum protein requirements if he wants an ideal lean goal weight of 200 pounds?
Cool. So, Jesus, that's a lot of lean weight to gain. So you always want to base your protein recommendations off their current weight. That's kind of where you want to go. You don't want to base it off the 200-pound weight. That's not kind of how it works. So anywhere around a gram per pound would be a great starting point. Easy. I'll ask you the next one. Cool. Sean.Brown91. I'm moving somewhere gloomier and I am bothered by that weather. Oh, feel you. As an expert UK, do you have any tips, or does the gloom not bug you?
So maybe I'm the appropriate person to ask for this because I'm Mr. Positivity maybe, but I would say, well, one little hack I think is having like a SAD light, or having a light, a bright light, maybe just to have that extra light availability, particularly in the kind of winter months, as it were. But I think the thing that I always like to say is that the great thing about somewhere like the UK is that it makes you appreciate the good seasons. So in the winter, and holidays, exactly. Whereas if you're somewhere like Australia, where it's summer, warm, hot all the time, you kind of don't appreciate it as much. So I think that's one good thing about coming somewhere gloomier. But yeah, apart from that, sorry, I actually don't have many tips. Wherever you go, bring your own sunshine, and I'm just going to leave it there.
I was only going to say one short thing is like, you're in control of your mood, right?
Exactly.
So like you can choose based off any weather to be like happy about it, sad about it, and so I do think trying to just have a generally positive mindset is the best thing to do, because you can't control the weather, right? Exactly. And then holidays help. And just the grass is always greener. There's people probably, I don't know, who live in Australia, or they live in, what's it called? The sunshine state of Florida. But they have storms, and they have hurricanes, and they have that sort of thing. We don't have to worry about that here. Well, not at the moment. So, and also global warming. It's going to get warmer everywhere soon enough. They're going to be baking.
Hell yeah.
We're going to just be warm. Right. Next one.
Cool. So Vale.Delamora asks, how do you manage nutrition in a deload week?
Wolf. So if I was taking a week-long deload, which I don't often do, I would say an easy answer is you don't have to change anything too much. That's one way to go. I think that's fine. I also think another fine solution is go to maintenance. But when I think about, okay, so if I'm in a surplus, I'm running a relatively small surplus anyway. So in a deload week, do I really need to change too much? If I'm still going to the gym, training activity is still there, hey, don't need to change too much. Maybe bring it down moderately, but like 100 calories, 200 calories less potentially. In a dieting phase, does that person require, or could they benefit from taking a break? So take a diet break at that point, again, bringing calories up to maintenance. Again, this is why maintenance is just an easy answer. Just be like, hey, default maintenance. But are they going to suffer muscle loss if they diet through that week? Probably not. They're still going to go to the gym, still provide a training stimulus. It's only a week, so the chances of muscle loss are pretty slim. If it was someone who's very lean in a contest prep scenario, or if someone was dieting very aggressively, so the risk of muscle loss was greater, maybe I'd be more tending to include some days at maintenance. So I think a great just default is go to maintenance, and then the larger energy, the further you're away from maintenance, the more likely you'll want to just at least close the gap somewhat. that's the easiest way I think I can explain it. Otherwise, like food and everything stays the same, like in terms of composition.
Yeah. No, well said. Nothing to add there.
Nice. Last question is from Patrick Morris. There we go. Can Mike help with knee soreness? Front of the kneecap, very sore to touch. Exercise change, ROM, mobility, cheers. We might have almost answered this.
Yeah. Thanks, Patrick. And to be honest, a little bit of all the above in some senses. So I think it comes back to what we were saying about kind of getting a little bit in tune with your body. So is there specific exercises where it feels worse, either during or after? And so if that's the case, maybe it's just a simple exercise selection change. If it's kind of more global in terms of all lower body exercises, but particular range of movement, right? Modify your range of movement. Like we talked about the leg extension at the start, might be that you just miss out that top range of movement. And then kind of just bias the length and partial. Again, play around with tempo as well, because you might find as well that a ballistic, explosive tempo is a bit more provocative, whereas a slower, more controlled tempo controls the symptoms a little bit better. And mobility, I would say I wouldn't lean on that first. I think those other things that I mentioned first, I would target and lean on them first. And I would probably, Patrick, I would get you to try and see someone. And if they felt, or if you felt that the mobility was contributing to the problem, I often think or say that a stiffness is a byproduct of an injury than the actual cause, if that makes sense. So for example, if a tissue is overloaded or if a tissue is sensitized, you are probably going to be getting a stiffening, but it's not the stiffening that is contributing to the problem. That, in most cases, I would say is what I see, rather than the reverse. So again, I would lean less on the mobility and go with those options first, Patrick.
Fantastic. And as a reminder, Mike does offer one-off consultations for physio. So if you do want to have a chat with Mike, particularly Patrick, if you try some of these things and they help or they don't help, like that might be a cause to kind of have a chat with Mike. He's obviously a bodybuilder himself, so he gets it. He wants to keep you training. And yeah, I can't say how helpful it has been to consult with Mike when I've had injuries and things like that. And I know lots of people who have had consultations with you and they come back because they need further help. And obviously if they're coming back, that means they like Mike and they're getting help from him. So always a good thing. So yeah, if you are interested in that, just drop us a DM or you can find it on the website. It's always available. Otherwise, if you're still here, thank you so much. Leave us a thumbs up. Leave us a great 5-star review if you're on Spotify and you're listening. Give us a comment. Make sure to subscribe. Share it with everyone you know. And we appreciate you very much so. Anything you want to leave the listeners with, Mike?
I just want to say for our US listeners, I hope you stay safe. There's a storm going on in the US around soon.
Is that a snowstorm?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, a couple of clients said they were expecting like 17 inches of snow on the weekend.
Yeah, so if
wild.
that's happening for you guys or it's already happened, then we just hope you stay safe and it doesn't affect you too drastically. And
you can still get to the gym.
But more importantly than that, we just hope you keep listening to us.
Yeah, you can stay in and just binge on all the improvement season.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Cheers. See you later.